because the last chapter was all about how does the military mind adapt to the commercial mind. And for 20 years of restructuring, turning around, as the interim, you're sort of, no pun
Mm.
intended, parachuted into a company to sort of get the reins of a business that's going in that direction, and it should go in that direction, which was fascinating. Because all of a sudden you have the levers of control, but an agenda from the board or the investors or whoever to go in a certain direction and change the business. And it was just like being given a mission or a task to go to somewhere new that you hadn't expected to go because there's a problem. So I thought it was absolutely fascinating. How does the military mind adapt to the commercial world? And it's something we've spoken about. And I loved your mnemonic of the VUCA, the sort of where you're operating in chaos and you're operating in confused, uncertain, and ambiguous spaces. And you could probably tell us about that a bit more. But that's been my life. That's what I've always done, and that was always that in the existence. So the military role was you dumped into something. How are you going to make that work? As an interim MD, director, or whatever it was in a business, you're put into a position of, yes, nice, it's to have the authority, but how do you actually turn that business around? And that's what I think we should explore, because actually, how does that military mind work, and how does that, and so what's the relevance for business, which I think you want to get to, which is great.
Absolutely, because most of my life has either been spent in a small business or in a large business. And in the large business, you know that it's structured in large organizations, hierarchical, silos. It's why I was fascinated when I was in the corporate world about integrated business management to try to break the silos down. But, it was a great structure for like the Tayloristic model when we call it LAMO, linear, anthropocentric, mechanistic and ordered. There are still big signs of that in the corporate world. And my favorite is we still believe that a 12-month budget is possible and sensible.
I think that's going, but yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And, when everything tells us it's not. And yet many of the practices, formal, informal, and the way that the behaviors are formed in many large organizations are a legacy of this type of thinking. Yet at the same time, people are saying, yes, but we've got tariffs, we've got financial crashes, we're in a VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, right? And so there's a lot of talk about it, but I feel not enough so what discussion in terms of double click. What does that mean for us as business people, as executives, as employees, and translating from an old fashioned world to a new fashioned world? Now, why I really wanted to talk to you was because, as so many of these things are, you double click and find VUCA was invented in the military. And you got there first, right? And so, so it's innate in your world. And so maybe with your lens of having something that was innate, but 20 years later, you could help give some advice about what might be relevant from the lessons of VUCA in the military to the business world.
No, absolutely. And I think the VUCA world, I mean, I think when I was going through training and stuff, it was all about the OODA loop as well, get inside the OODA loop. So, observe, see, do, act, or whatever it is. So stuff is happening. How are you reacting to it? I'm going to pick up a word you used slightly earlier, which was the so what factor, which is great. Being there's like a light bulb going off in my head, because I'm going to talk about a thing called mission command.